The people were denied and prohibited from doing such a thing afterwards. So from this hadith, the scholars say that, and this is mentioned in Sifat Salatun Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, the description of the prayer of the Prophet alayhi salam, written by Al-Imam Syekh Al-Albani, may Allah have mercy on his soul. From this hadith, the scholars came with the conclusion that this hadith was abrogated. Yes, they were instructed not to read anything other than the Fatiha. Then they were also told not to read that as well. And if we look into the collection of a hadith governing this issue, we will come to the conclusion that the school of thought of Imam Malik is the most reliable and authentic of all. And this is what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, followed. So the opinion of Imam Malik is that reciting the Fatiha is a fard, it's a pillar in every rak'ah for the imam, for the follower, and for the person individually praying alone, if they are praying it silently. There's no dispute in that among the vast majority of scholars. However, in loud rak'ahs, such as the first two rak'ahs of Fajr, the first two rak'ahs of Maghrib, the first two rak'ahs of Isha, it is a pillar upon the imam and upon the person praying alone. As for the follower, the recitation of his imam suffices him. What if the follower wanted to recite it when the imam makes a pause? Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah says that this is totally fine, but if he doesn't do it intentionally, his prayer is valid, and this is what I am inclined to follow, and Allah knows best. Talha from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is, does Allah have a shape or like dimension? And if yes, does that limit him?
Akhi, what kind of a question is this? Yani, does a Muslim who prays 5 times a day and reads the Quran has the audacity to ask such a question? Does Allah have this or does Allah have that? Subhanallah. Yahi, you're a Muslim. You should follow the Quran and follow the Sunnah and not follow the weird philosophy of people who want you to get out of the fold of Islam. As Muslims, as part of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, as followers of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, we only follow what's in the Quran and the Sunnah. Does the Quran and Sunnah tell us that Allah has a shape or a form or this or that? These words are not mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. What is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah? Number one, and this is a measuring rod. There is nothing like Allah Azza wa Jal, and He's all hearing, all seeing. So anything that crosses your mind, Allah is unlike this. You have to believe in this. Number two, the Quran and Sunnah tells us that Allah Azza wa Jal has eyes, that Allah has a face, that Allah has hands, 2 hands to be specific, and that Allah has feet. How? You have to refer to rule number 1. Nothing is unlike Allah. So no matter how you think of it, you are wrong. So, and there are many other rules, but these would suffice. So if someone says, an elephant has a leg, I as a human being have a leg, and an ant has a leg. Are any of these legs similar? Of course not. The name is identifiable. I can understand what a leg means. But when we talk about the beautiful attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah is unlike anything, but we take what He described Himself for granted. And we don't misinterpret it or manipulate it or try to figure out anything that does not relate to reality. How? This is only in Allah's knowledge. We acknowledge He has a hand, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has fingers. He has eyes. He hears. He sees, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't know how, but we acknowledge and we believe. So when you come and have the audacity to say, oh, what shape, what form, what is this, what is that? You have to fear Allah, because this is not what Allah will ask you about in your grave. Unless someone wants to flex his muscles and show his ability of philosophical things and trying to boast about it and to win an argument. This is not Islam, akhi, at all, and Allah knows best. Raqib from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I am 19 years old and I'm pursuing my education. My father died 2 years back, and me, my mom, and my sister are the ones who inherited him. He left us some properties and wealth, and my mother is the one who is in charge of everything. I didn't yet take the responsibility of my inherited portion yet. So is she the one who's responsible and held accountable for calculating and paying the zakat?
The answer is yes. She is the one, as long as she has the guardianship and control over your wealth, and you cannot get your hands on your portion of inheritance. She's the one who's responsible to give zakat every year since the time of your father's death. And you have to be diplomatic, obedient, dutiful to your mother, and try to explain to her how to do things Islamically. Yunus from Germany.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
This is a new question, though it sounds like an old one at first. So my Islamic center, what they do, there's one person, one imam. He gives first khutbah, second khutbah, and he leads the people in prayer. So everything is normal. But between second khutbah and prayer, a listener stands up and gives a long translation. I talked to them about this. I said Islam QA said it's invalid if the translation is between the two khutbahs. It seems like they also say it's invalid like they do it, and they claim Ibn Baz said it's valid. So Ibn Baz had a fatwa about this. With my bad Arabic, I doubted that's what he meant, but I talked to them, they refused to change it. If I pray with them, is it valid or not? Because they believe it's valid.
I do not know if there is a fatwa of Sheikh bin Baz on this or not. But if an imam gives two khutbah, and after the two khutbah he does not lead the prayer, and they insert a translation which is a third khutbah, the prayer, in my mind, in my point of view, is invalid, and you cannot pray with them. Najwa from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamtullah.
Because I live in a Catholic country, do I have to read the ingredient?
I don't understand your
makeup products
question.
Or skincare?
I do not understand your
Because
question.
I live in a Catholic country, do I have to read the ingredients of makeup products, or can I just simply buy it without checking the ingredients?
Originally, everything is halal until proven otherwise. And it causes a great deal of hardship if I would look into the origin of this mug, if I would look into the ingredients of normal soap or detergents or fabric that I'm wearing, because I have no reason to doubt it. And therefore, it's different from consuming things, eating things, where I have to be careful whether it's halal or haram, whether it has pork or not, and the likes. But when it comes to normal things such as cosmetics and makeup and the likes, the norm is that